Here we are, hitting up events, drinking our way through Chicago beer, and trying not to miss a thing.
Yeah, because, the cork popped out, boom, it flies like fucking 10 feet. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
All you have to do is add some fruit, stir it up, and ride that milk-shaped wave.
Whenever I see him, I gotta take a photo with the most decorated brewer in Chicago, Jonathan Cutler.
It'll be like the stuff you hear. Every time you go to Floyd's, all the music sounds like this. Raw, raw, raw.
Sometimes you want a small beer, but really, you want a big beer.
You gotta take in all those big aromatic hops.
Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Waiting in line for a bottle release?
You should have never been a fad. The black IPA is delicious.
Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski.
It's Bad Bitch O'Clock. What's up? I'm Nik White.
Oh, it's a Friday Beer Pass. We've been going hard all week.
This is, I think, the first 3-day run we've had in a while, maybe ever.
I know. We didn't record all 3 days, but 2 days back-to-back recording. We were talking about, we were at Goose Island, District Brew Yards, and now we're here, which we'll go over all that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But first, we continue our Oktoberfest. I think this is the final show before the final show.
Is it even October still? I mean, this is fest beer.
Our final Oktoberfest one-off before we go down the list, if you're watching the video, or recap them all and then pick our favorites.
Yeah, so we got Mars Oktoberfest fest beer.
Mm-hmm. This is 12 ounces, comes in a 4-pack, and I'm sure it was probably $20 in Mars fashion.
Jungle Boogie is like a $25 fucking 4-pack.
Right.
It's, it's beer that you buy when you want to feel pretty, I guess, So do we say that about lunch? If I spend $30 on a lunch, it make me feel pretty kind of thing.
I almost bought the Mars, and was it Phase 3 had a Oktoberfest that they called Chugtober.
Oh.
And it was in, I think it was Phase 3, but it was in 16-ounce cans, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm at my Oktoberfest limit, and if we have extras, I don't need those extra ounces now. I'm just good with 12.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get that one, so I just got the regular Mars, and I was like, let's see what they can do alone.
Very scenic can here. There's a bear and a bunch of folks in their lederhosen doing the, doing some kind of river dance or something, or whatever kind of festive dance you do when you wear lederhosen.
Yeah. What's this logo they have on there that's the Filling More? Little thing that looks like a sun?
Yeah, I haven't seen that before. I'm just used to the M that kind of looks like the Google Mail M. But
right.
this circle with the word Filling More around it and a arrow, I'm not sure what that is.
Okay. But yeah, this is their fest beer coming in at 6%. Right off the bat, it's ranking low for me on the lineup. Not that it's bad or anything. It's just kind of uninteresting of them.
If you break them into quadrants, this is in that same quadrant wherever On Tour and Goose are going to be. Whatever we're calling that quadrant,
okay,
it's going to be in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll sip on this, and we'll...
I think the upper quadrant is going to include your Pipeworks, Metro, and Hopewell, and Solemn Oath.
Sketchbook.
Yeah. That sort of thing, yeah.
And then,
the middle of the road, I mean, I put, and we're going to try them all again, but the Penrose and the OIB tier is just slightly below that.
Okay. Damn. Whew.
Right, we're just telling you how we feel, man.
Right. This is we'll try them again, and this is Mars, which I don't usually pick up because of the price point, but I do enjoy the beers when I have them.
Yeah. They're in Logan now. Satellite, not Second Brew, just Satellite, right next to Margie's Candy.
Mm-hmm. Are they actually brewing anything there?
I think it's just all imported from Bridgeport.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
So always a solid stop, pre or post Sox game. It's about I think you walked it once, maybe like a mile and a half from the pub. From the Sox Park.
From the Red Line to the Mars Brewery. Yeah, I've walked it. Yeah, it's a good walk, but you can do it.
Yeah. Bridgeport, my favorite thing in Bridgeport was back-to-back years of FOBAB down at Bridgeport at the Bridgeport Arts Center.
FOBAB coming up, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Ridiculous, man. It's moving. It's all moving fast. FOBAB did move up 2 weeks though.
Oh,
We
1
confirmed
week?
that.
No, 1 week.
1 week.
1
It's
week.
usually mid-November. Now it's early November.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not sure why they moved it up. Maybe.
It's probably the only date they could get. That's a space that's used quite often,
True.
and it's bigger than the UIC forum that they usually use.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually do concerts and shit at the UIC Pavilion or whatever they're calling the UIC Pavilion these days.
Okay.
It's like Cred One Arena or some shit.
Okay, yeah. So there's probably a conflict, so they had to get this date. So yeah, that's November 4th. Get tickets. I'm sure they're still available. I don't think it's going to sell out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good reminder to join Imbibe, because with that membership, $60 a year or whatever it is, it's worth it if you just get in FOBAB an hour early.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because FOBAB gets a little zany. A little zany.
Getting in an hour early for FOBAB is key because you can kind of just like wander around, maybe get some of those beers you heard that you should get before they'll kick within 30 minutes of the door opening.
Yeah, that's a fact. Unless you go on Friday night. Friday night's usually pretty comfortable, but you still want to get there an hour early. But Friday's a little more chill. The awards on Saturday. If you don't get there an hour early, you can just expect to wait on stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one thing that's going to be at FOBAB is probably going to be the lineup from Goose Island.
Oh, I'm guessing outdoor train. I'm guessing hourly tappings. Mm-hmm. The whole shebang,
And that's a good segue into this year's lineup, which we got to try. Unfortunately, we don't have an episode of us trying them. And
yeah, we did a knee-jerk reaction with Porch Drinking and Matt Powers and Afro Beer Chick. We did that. That's on our IG feed. That was fun. It's kind of a tradition now, where we show up and just, in a drunken, rambling, trying to be coherent, tell you what all these things are doing.
Yeah. So let's run them down. Let's run down the list of the 7 Bourbon County Stouts that are coming out this year, and then we'll kind of give you our reaction to them all. So
yeah, man. We
got original that's in 4 barrels this year.
Yeah. The first 3 barrels have always been the same for the most part for the last few years. Heaven Hill and Wild Turkey, and it sounds like Buffalo Trace is still in the mix, or that get replaced by Four Roses because there's 3.
It's still in the mix.
Okay.
And this year they added 4 Roses.
Okay.
So, it possibly changes the flavor. Depends on how much you can tell or remember from years past.
Right, and even though it's for the most part the same beer this whole time, but it does change from year to year. Mm-hmm. Those little subtle notes kind of creep to the front more so in some years more than others. They say it's the weather. I mean, who am I to disagree? I don't brew. All right, but
I'm not a weatherman.
And also, I'm not a weatherman. How the fuck do I know how it impacted?
I don't brew. I don't make barrels. I'm not a weatherman. You can tell me anything. I gotta believe you.
We're likely to believe it. Quick note on Four Roses. They kind of commented that it's a higher rye whiskey, but then also, for the last few years, Half Acre has used that for benthic.
Okay.
Yeah. Bigger, richer cherry notes on the benthic in comparison to some of the goose stuff, and that embodied mouthfeel that might be contributed to the Four Roses component. Who knows?
And it didn't sound like you were gonna get that secret Easter egg thing where you could try each Bourbon County from this year in the individual barrels. They're all a blend. It could be, they're just a blend of it.
Yeah, everything's a blend. They're going for one flavor profile, no one-offs, as of the preview.
Right. And then the next up, the one we got to try was 30th anniversary.
Now this one was special. This was their original barrel partner was, what was it? Jim Beam, and I want to say it was 5 weeks or some crazy number in a bourbon barrel, the very first BCS.
I think they said 100 days.
100 days in a Jim Beam barrel. So to pay tribute to what they're saying is their 30th anniversary, and it's Jim Beam small batch bourbon 30th anniversary. Mm-hmm. So this is BCS 30. And it's a blend of all the Jim Beam special release barrels. So that is Baker's, Booker's, Knob Creek, and Basil Hayden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super fancy box for this one.
Yeah. And all those, those bourbons, all very good. I don't really drink Basil Hayden, but the other ones I really like.
Okay. And then the next one we got to try was 30th barley wine. No, it's not 30th barley wine. It's 2-year barley wine.
2-year Old Fitzgerald barley wine.
Yeah. It's possibly 2-year double barrel.
Yeah. It was kind of tricky the way they described it. They took 60% of it, aged it for a year, and then put it in another fresh bourbon barrel. and then the other 40% just aged for a year. So it's a blend of double barrel and 1 year beer, and they're calling it 2 year because I guess the majority of it did rest for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah. This is Old Fizz barrels, Old Fizz decanter series. So that's 14, 15, and 16 year bourbons, freshly dumped and sent immediately to Goose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Goose has the powerful connections. So the branding on the box is killer. Probably one of the better looking boxes we've seen all year. Probably since last year's fancy box from Old Forester, the white one, the white tube.
That's right.
And this is the first time we've seen barley wine, I want to say, since 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we had wheat wine a couple years ago.
That's right. Yeah, and then I think a coffee version of barley wine was the last barley wine they dropped.
And that wasn't.
Yeah, it was very okay.
Yeah.
This is the best barley wine probably since King Henry. King Henry was Pappy Van Winkle barrels used twice. Once for BCS to make rare, and then they filled it again to put the barley wine and made King Henry.
I think the first time we saw King Henry was the first time they did the Black Friday thing.
I think maybe no. Well, right, or the year after, right? Because Rare came out, and then King Henry followed that.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Because it was the same barrel, so they couldn't have released them the same year.
Oh, you're right.
They couldn't have released them the same year.
So it was okay.
So the first, yeah, I think. But that's a good segue because coffee, BCS coffee,
Made its back. I don't know, the purest form of it from what you remember from the first time we got Bourbon County Vanilla, and Bourbon County Coffee.
Yeah, and coffee is the very first variant. It's the first Avenger. It's Captain America of the it's Captain America of the BCS variants, man. It's the first ever variant.
It was away for a while.
And we haven't seen coffee in forever, man.
Right.
The
coffee, we got to try the coffee on its own afterwards. It's from a super small village.
Burundi, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a village in Africa that borders Tanzania.
I believe women-owned coffee.
Yeah, the farmers are all women. Super small country. It borders Rwanda and Tanzania, East Africa. I've never been to Africa, but that's where it is.
Okay. The coffee on its own, fantastic. And then the coffee in the Bourbon County, it was great. It tasted very much like a cold brew coffee.
It was wild as hell to have the director of sales at Intelli was there, and he's pouring coffee, pour over coffee. And I'm looking at this coffee with nothing in it, just black. And I'm like, man, this shit tastes just like it did in the beer. Mm-hmm. It was very delicious. I forgot that coffee black could be good if it's really good coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did those four, and then there was sort of a little intermission, and then we went into the wild and crazier flavors.
Cold, what do they call them? Cold side adjuncts.
Okay.
The beer's done, it's cold, let's throw some stuff in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the first one off of that was not biscotti.
Oh, it might have been the fig.
The fig.
Yeah. So
Fig Newton.
So they're calling
inspired one.
Sir Isaac is what they're calling it. It's a Fig Newton cookie BCS.
Did they say who Sir Isaac was?
Well,
Was he the King Newton?
Well, Sir Isaac.
Sir Newton?
Maybe he shares a name with Fig Newton. Was Fig Newton named after Sir Isaac? This is all bizarro world. We got the paper right here. Does this shit help us?
That just talks about the pictures that are in the...
Okay, I saw the BCS logo. All right, so yeah, it's called Sir Isaac maybe because it shares a name with Fig Newton, and they couldn't call it Fig Newton.
That was Fig Newton's dad.
Right. This, I know we're not talking about what they do, but yeah, this was 10,000 pounds of Mission figs, black Mission figs, and they had to put them in 5-pound bags.
Right.
So 5-pound bags, so they had the crew dress up in like hazmat suits and dump 5 pounds at a time till they got to 10,000 to make this batch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think the trials included fig puree. Like the fig puree plus the sweetness of the BCS made this thing too sweet. It's got to be the entire fig.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think 3 weeks.
I think you described it as fruit leather.
Yeah. So not really like the essence of fruit, not necessarily sweet like a fruit, but kind of gives you like a fruit roll up kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then next was biscotti, which had anise in it.
Apparently a chocolate dip biscotti inspired BCS, and apparently biscotti biscuits have anise in them? I guess I didn't know that.
This is going to be probably the polarizing one this year.
Maybe it settles a bit, but there was a ton of anise in
Right.
this thing, and to the point where I'm like, why is there anise in it at all? You know, but I guess when you have a biscotti, clearly there's anise in a biscotti.
Guess I don't know. I don't really ever have biscottis.
They're kind of hard.
Yeah,
Not
it's
really.
too hard.
Not really. You know.
Give me a muffin. Give me a bagel.
And right, we never make it to the
Donut.
We never make it to the biscotti phase of baked goods.
I don't want your stale cookie thing here.
Nobody's eating figs. Nobody's eating biscottis. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, well, I guess we're drinking them.
So it's the biscotti, and then I think tons of almonds, and tons of cacao nibs. So that's the adjuncts for the biscotti BCS.
And then final one was Prop. This year's Prop. Prop is only available to people in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it was Jungle Bird.
Yeah, Jungle Bird. So I believe it's cocktail inspired tropical BCS, and I believe the original cocktail has Campari, black strap rum, banana, coconut and pineapple, and lime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, right away I looked at Brad and I'm just like, yo, I get a lot of pineapple here.
Okay, I got pineapple, and then I was like, is that banana? Like, those are my first two.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the coconut.
The conversation around the room was, well, what do you get first? Because you get all these things, and you kind of get them in a very direct, very expressive way.
Right.
Right. And the lime and the pineapple are jumping out of this glass, and then you have it again, and you're like, oh, there's coconut and there's banana in here.
Right.
And I'm like, I am in on this. I think fucking Prop has been kind of subdued. I think the last few years there was a strawberry shortcake, then there was the Italian strawberry shortcake, whatever you call that.
There was that orange one, right? Oh no, that wasn't Prop.
I'm just like, and then there's the greatest hits one with just chocolate and coconut, and these things are fine, right? But this one, it was kind of like memorable and
was amazing.
and good. It was really good.
The story was super fun from the guys who they used to work at Beguile.
Yeah.
They still work at Beguile or no?
I mean, probably not. I think Goose probably taking care of them now.
Think so?
I mean, dude, 2 years in a row. These are the guys that made cola.
I wasn't clear on this because they were like, that was the first time they had non-Goose people.
Well, I think one was in ecom or something.
Okay.
One works in the brew house, but then the other guy's in like the e-commerce or something.
Okay.
So
I just wasn't clear if they were actuals or if they currently were Goose people, but they used to at some point worked at Beguile.
They did. Yeah, I think that's where they met.
Okay.
And then I think they may have started as like somebody. I think it was the Fig Newton people. They were not
Sir Isaac.
Sir Isaac's peeps were non-brewing Goose employees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and that's where they said, if the good thing about these trials is like if these are all brewers doing it, they would immediately shot down the Fig thing and said it was too hard because it's so hard to pull Fig flavors. But the people who don't make beer are coming in with the Fig Newton one and they're super jazzed about it, and they brought a trial.
They don't care how it's made.
We don't give a fuck. Let's make it. Come on. And they're like, all right, cool. Let's try it. Let's try to make it. So
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, that's Prop. You'll be able to get it at Prop Day on, I think it's November 12th.
Yeah. So I saw that $160 I think price tag, and so for two people this is like a $300 play.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, you guys are out of control for this price. But now that I've had them all, and I think your Prop Day ticket includes some of these. It includes 2 props.
2 props, 1 30th, and 1 2-year.
Bruh.
Snifter, and I think drink tokens.
That's a win. Because those 3 are the 3 of the 4 best ones.
Because we were, if you saw the live stream, we were attempting to possibly do the math. 30th goes for maybe 50. Like, this is like just us at retail. You could go to like somewhere like Miska's and it's going to be $80.
You'll get screwed, yeah.
You go somewhere else, it might be else. But yeah, at least $50 for that. $50 for 2-year. So that's 100 right there. Prop is at least 30 each.
Yeah.
So that's break even right there.
Yeah, you're going to get a better deal if you go to Prop Day because most people, A, they're going to make you buy all of them, and then B, they're pressured to sell a lot of OG, so they're probably going to make you buy a ton of OG, more than just the
And you
one.
can't even get Prop at the stores, right?
No, I mean in Chicago you
Oh,
can.
you can't. So it does get to the stores, not
Yeah.
just at Prop Day.
So if you're at
Okay.
Benny's
Okay.
or if you're at Benny's or at,
Prop should show up.
you should be able to get prop at Chicagoland stores.
Okay, so
yeah.
it's not just Prop Day only.
No, that's just, but prop day is a week before Black Friday though. That's the
okay.
advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the live stream we did I don't know our hot takes on 'em.
Yeah.
I haven't really changed mine because
Yeah.
I haven't had them again. So I have to
Yeah.
go with what I felt there.
Right.
So I'll go down mine first.
And don't ever change, as you should, Brad.
Mine was
Chmielewski.
number 1. Prop.
It's insane. It's insane. And I can understand Brad's position here because, well, I was telling Brad on the way to brew yards, I'm like, dude, when I put water in my water jug, I put a fresh lime in it every morning. I'm into the taste of it. I get excited about just fruit in general, just fresh fruit flavors. And I was like, yo, this is really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's
It's tough for prop or any of the cold adjunct ones. Are you ranking them higher because it's totally different? Are you ranking them higher because it's good, it's better than the original? It's sort of weird. I think it's a little of both for me. It's the one I wanted to keep drinking.
Yeah.
The one I'm most excited to tell people about. My number 2 is 2-year barley wine.
Yeah.
And that's everyone's kind of number 1. You're not going to convince a non-beer person, get this barley wine. It's a really good barley wine. Get this one that tastes like this cocktail.
It tastes like a fucking cocktail.
Pineapple and coconut and banana.
It's pretty ridiculous.
It's more fun to talk about prop.
I wish I was drinking one right now, honestly.
Then you're like, this is the best take on a barley wine.
Yeah.
It's okay, cool, but why?
Anabasis from Side Project is a 2-year barley wine. We all know VSOJ. I think this is the best barley wine that Goose has made in maybe the last 5 to 10 years or whatever. And it's a very good barley wine. But I understand your point. I think because this is the first time we've done this together since the pandemic in person, right? So we're all coming in out on the other side of, a lot of people just floated straight to the bourbon category. A lot of people were drinking cocktails all along, and this is a proper reintroduction of prop, to your point, where it's good and it's not flavors you're familiar with at all from these guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made it special. And that's why I think it ranks pretty high. I got it no less than 3rd.
Yeah. So okay. So prop, 2-year, 30th, regular.
Yeah.
Then coffee. Regular and coffee. I think you could probably go back and forth on that.
Same. I don't think we're talking about coffee enough, because we had Cafe Deeth not long ago. I think this is right on par with Cafe Deeth. And I'm not trying to do the Rev Goose comparison, even though I seem to do that a lot. Yeah. But, that's my other favorite barrel-aged program.
But coffee might be better right now, but regular Bourbon County is going to just taste great for years to come, where coffee is not going to taste the same. So that's maybe why I put it a little lower.
Yeah.
And then Sir Isaac, Fig Newton's dad, and then Biscotti is. We could just not even include that one.
I go the exact opposite. I go Fig Newton last, dead last.
All right. So what do you got? Run down.
All right. Okay. So I go number 1 for me, just like most people I think, is barley wine. Number 2 is BCS 30 with the big, just a straight up proper fucking bourbon forward barrel aged stout, just really good stuff. Number 3 is prop. I think number 4 is coffee.
Okay.
For me, I'll go coffee. I've come around all the way around to those coffee stouts that don't remind me of fresh ground coffee anymore. The ones that just have these subtle notes that are definitely coffee, but it doesn't have the guy from Mentelli was telling me the reason you're associating that is because a high acidity is that fresh coffee ground flavor you want.
Yeah, okay.
And that's not how a coffee purist would judge a good coffee, right? So I'm coming around to these softer coffee flavors.
Okay.
So it's really good. Coffee number 4. OG5. OG is pretty good this year. Some years it's molasses, some years it's brownie batter. This year it's kind of right in the middle,
Yeah, kind of like a little cherry, little sweet, smooth, very smooth.
Exactly, yeah. Didn't feel as thin as it did last year. And then I go number 6, just because it was the more unique of the 2 weird ones. Biscotti, I go Biscotti, then I go Fig Newton.
I could understand that. Yeah, it does more unique of the two, but I did not want to have any more of that.
It's so big. It smells like a liqueur of some sort on the nose. They're so big, and the anise is just kind of shadowing over all the other stuff. When you drink it, I don't think the anise is there as much.
Yeah, I feel like this is the way I felt of, was it Old Fog or
Oh yeah, Kentucky Fog.
Kentucky Fog? And then I kind of came around on Kentucky Fog.
Kentucky Fog opened up
I'm
nicely,
not fucking
man.
come around on
I
Biscotti.
don't know, man. I don't know. You gotta give it another try. You gotta give. It's kind of the Northwoods, if you will, of this, right? Because Northwoods kind of tasted like a fortune cookie when I first had it, or like not the fortune cookie, but those restaurants they give you like that, the round cookie, whatever that's called, almond cookie. I think it's almond cookie.
Yeah.
But then I had it like 6 months later, and I'm like, bruh, what are we doing here? Yeah, that was a weird one.
So that was a good event or a good tasting, and then we got to try Bourbon County in 1 week.
Yeah, I want to say 1 week, and then maybe 4 months and 8 months, maybe.
And then drinking this 1 week, we asked, we're like, oh, so this is Night Stalker.
We're just kind of fucking around, yeah.
And we have heard that, or people have told us that no, Night Stalker is a different recipe.
Right, that's what Goose loves to tell you off the cuff, that no, the stout you're having here is not BCS at all.
But the current brewer was like, yeah, it's just not dry hopped.
Right.
Like, what? Oh, so it is.
For years. Because Night Stalker had to be like every bit of like 11 years ago, and they always denied it.
Yeah. So now we have confirmation.
Yeah.
That Night Stalker was just dry hop Bourbon County.
We kind of geeked out about that a little bit, because I mean, Night Stalker was a good run, man. It was dry hop, non-barrel aged stout, and it kind of came and went. I think it came out once.
Yeah.
Yeah, and cheers to Goose, man. I think getting to try these all at Goose is really cool, and and then when they throw in these little surprises of, hey, you want to try it after it's been in the barrel for a week, like or hey, we had this 14-year-old bourbon, and this is the barrel we use, and this is the bourbon. Do you want to try the bourbon as well?
Right. We opened a bottle of Old Fitz.
I'm just like, man, everybody who before they introduced the beer, they all kind of talked about their first ever encounter with BCS, right? Their BCS journey, their experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there ain't a whole lot of beers that bring out emotion the way this beer does, for better or worse. People love to hate on it, and people can't wait to go wait in line for it.
Yeah.
It's one of the more emotional beer brands that there are around here.
I don't remember the first time I had it. I remember the first time finding it again in the store and being like, they're only selling this for $5. Like being like, what? Do they know how good this is? Like I remember that moment, but I don't remember the first time I had it and was like kind of taken back by it. I remember the first time I had Dark Lord, and I was like, kind of like, what is this thing? Not knowing anything about Dark Lord.
Yeah.
Bourbon County Stout. I can't remember the first time.
Yeah. I remember it came in bombers at one point, and I used to carry beers in my backpack a lot, and I went to my uncle's house in Rogers Park. That's how I ended up living in Rogers Park. My uncle lived there, and I took it for Thanksgiving one year, and I had the cups and every fancy chalices and everything. And I was one of them to kind of share in this weird thing I found that was really good. And everybody thought it sucked, but I was like, I guess I'll drink it.
Okay.
But that was the first time I really kind of bought one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're saying 30 years. There's some people that, say that wasn't correct.
Yeah, I think the Josh Knoll book talks about how it's really not 92, it's 95, which means that this ain't 30 years.
Right.
But then they were talking about that book that night, and they were saying that a lot of that book is no one who currently worked at Goose when he was doing the book was in the book. They were all former Goose employees. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know that about that book.
And did Todd Ashman say he had the first? No, he didn't drink the first one.
He wasn't the very first person to drink it, but he's drank them all.
He's drank them all.
He's drank them all.
Has he drank 30 years?
Right. I mean, he works at Goose Island.
So was that 92 when he had it?
Right. Goose opened in 88. This was batch 1000. So that 5 years later. So that lines up.
Right.
Yeah. And then all the marketing stuff says 30 years. So.
Right. So I think that in the book they couldn't find any sort of documentation that proves that this happened before 95, right?
Okay.
I think that's kind of what I've heard. Don't have the book. I'm not going to pay for the book. I'm not going to pay for the Tribune when I get the paywall. So I don't very, very, very rarely read Noel's stuff.
Yeah, but I think there's an undercurrent of that in America's favorite place to talk about beer Twitter.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says "Beer Twitter hates you." We should sell those.
Damn. So that was our Wednesday night, and then Thursday we went over to the New District Brew Yards in Wheeling.
Wheeling, Illinois. Hello. They have not one but 2 water towers in Wheeling. We saw one that sits right behind.
At least have more than that.
I mean, you think how many fucking water towers they need for this town? We were on the way out. We saw one, and then while we're interviewing the hippos, we're looking, and there's one right behind us.
Right.
So.
And there's a Hyatt right across the street.
Yeah. There you go. You know, they got enough room behind District Brew Yards. It's wide open space. There's like a condo and some empty yard
for tents.
They could put another hotel there.
Oh, you just pull up your RV.
It just camp out. You know.
The new District Brew Yard spot it features 5 breweries.
Yep.
Twisted Hippo, Burnt City, Around the Bend, Casa Humilde, and Histrionic.
Yeah, that's the newest crew. They of the pilot project crew. That's where they started, and then they switched homes. They went from an incubator to being the on the 5th wall. So it's a slightly different. There are some similarities there, right? Because there's one guy that brews all of the brew yard stuff.
So we found out there is a brewer for each brew system.
Yeah.
So the brew system at Wheeling is a 10 barrel.
Yeah.
And then in Chicago they have a 7 barrel and a 30 barrel. So
Yeah.
there's a different brewer that's kind of a head brewer that's in charge of those systems.
Right. You don't think about this. I think after we got done, and cheers to Carl and Mary Lee. You know, this is like maybe the 3rd time we had them on the show. Mm-hmm. But they were kind of saying they have a Christmas ale, and the Christmas ale uses molasses, right? So then, you know, when you talk about extracting like these flavors from, you know, whether it's the grains or adding flavors, I think the system that they were using, the hippos at their place, was fire, and then this place was steam. So, you know, molasses is going to behave differently. You know, it's going to burn. It's not going to burn at the same pace.
Or shouldn't burn at all in the steam.
Shouldn't burn at all in the steam. Yeah. But like, I guess I didn't pay attention to, as you know, as a drinker, you don't really pay attention to how grains are and things are cooked on certain kind of systems and how that would change the flavor if you move systems. You know, that's
what I was. There's any purists that like, I only drink beer from the steam brew house.
How'd you heat this? How'd you heat these grains? Was it direct fire or was it?
No, I'm out.
Oh, you know what?
I don't do that.
You guys take care.
There's somebody out there.
You know it, man.
They also have this fun alt wall at the Wheeling location. Right now it's wines and a ginger seltzer.
Right.
So I think just trying to be more inclusive to although it's a beer hall, having a few more options. They also mentioned that Casa Humilde had a seltzer on. Just giving people a little more options if you're not there just for the beer, or if you come with someone for beer, there's possibly options for you as a non-beer drinker.
Yeah, I had Casa Humilde's Amber Lager when I was there.
Okay.
And then there's 3 food options instead of 1. So it's become like this own little craft court for food and beer, which is nice.
I only drank Twisted Hippo when I was there because we did the episode, we interviewed them. We were talking with them, and I would have I don't know, I felt a little bad to not drink their beer. It's like I didn't want to be like, I'm going to get Dan's cream ale, and I kind of just want that.
Yeah, had the Twisted Hippo Hazy IPA. We both had Bleeding Hearts. That's the Kolsch with beets.
Yeah.
And
which is 7%.
I didn't realize that. I guess the beets added to the Kolsch. You don't usually see Kolsch that high, but the beet addition made it 7.2.
Do you get any, I feel like I'm almost drinking beet juice when I drink that.
It's interesting. The Kolsch definitely plays the background. It looks like wine. Yeah. It looks like a sparkling wine.
It feels healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I feel more responsible when I'm drinking this.
I got this beet drink.
Are you kidding me? Antioxidants. Here we come. You know? I also had a grisette from Cruz Blanc.
Twisted
Hippo.
Nice. Yeah. And then they have some food options. We went over to all this in our episode, audio only, so YouTube watchers, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, also a note about the system. So this is the old Ram in Wheeling. Ram had a system already in place, but the tanks were bigger, and they didn't want to deal with these big tanks. And then I think logistically, the tanks had a really high hatch, and they just didn't like the design of the tanks.
The Pipeworks bought them.
Yeah. Apparently, Pipeworks came in and said, "Hey, I know these tanks. I used to work on them. These tanks suck."
Yeah, I'll buy them.
So he drove down the price, and then he bought all the tanks. So if he bought those tanks, that means the place next to Mitokaya on fucking California that I saw that was clearly going to be a brewery, I think that's where the Pipeworks is going.
Ooh,
right?
okay, yeah.
Where else is he putting these
Gotta be
tanks?
building it out.
Exactly. So that was a fun little nugget. And then the original well, you were taking pictures of the grain mill outside. So they said Shawnimals did the artwork on the grain mill. And then the original brew house was way smaller than it is now. They brought the brew house out to kind of make it.
The Ram Brew House, yeah.
Yeah, the Ram brew house was way smaller than what
They
these guys
got room
did.
for like another row of tanks there.
You could have like a little party, little VIP action. And VIP.
It's like almost
VIP.
too much room in that brew house. They're like, I'm gonna need more tanks probably.
Yeah, more tanks. And I think they went with the smaller tanks because they wanted to be all just be draft. They're like, these tanks that we got from Ram are too big. This is too much. This is too much for us. We want to have smaller tanks.
I don't think a lot of distro stuff is going to come out of the Wheeling location.
Yeah.
They want to just kind of, like you said, be draft only, be to-go cans, more limited release and faster turnover on things.
The Hippos had 8 drafts. I counted 8 for the Hippos.
Everyone's got 8.
Shit, that's a lot of beer. Yeah, that's cool though, man. Cause
Everyone has 10 in Chicago.
I didn't know that. So when you go to, this is a brewery, but if you go there, they're gonna have what's 8 times 5, 40. You're gonna have 40 handles, and most breweries do not have 40 handles.
And then 4 alts.
Right. So you got upwards of 45 handles with the crazy assortment of different personalities and different beer styles. I mean, it actually is a very cool destination.
Right.
It's very cool. Cheers to them for pulling that off.
Yeah.
It feels good in that joint.
It does. It's a nice space. Yeah. But yeah, that was last night. That episode should probably be up on the podcast feed. So check that out. Always good to catch up about the fire, what they're doing.
Yeah, we were out. It was too loud in the brew yard, so we stood out by the fireplace, and it's kind of a modern fireplace, just a one long string of gas fire. Mm-hmm. And here I am on the episode, like, yeah, we're out here by the fire. Look at us. This fire is so great.
The fire's great.
And I'm just like, and we got back in. We're like, oh fuck, I didn't think about that at all. So,
damn. Let's see. And then you were also on the suburbs hitting up another new place that opened up, right?
yeah, man. Shout out to Go Brewing in Naperville.
Right.
Shares a parking lot with the good folks at Solomoth.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are in the old Two Fools cider.
Right.
Space, right.
So they kept half of the space is Two Fools, and then they bought the other storefront. So now it's a bigger space than Two Fools was. And then Two Fools, the connection is the guy who owns this place. He owned the building that Two Fools moved to.
Oh.
That's the connection. So this guy's like, yeah, they were renting out space for me. And he's like, yeah, we outgrew that space. And the guy's like, well, what are you doing with that old space? He's like, we're not doing anything with it. So then he took the old space because it was way smaller. And he started Go Brewing in that space.
Okay. And this is a non-alcoholic beer brewery.
It might be one of the first in the country. Non-alcohol, low alcohol ABV beers.
Oh, so there's low ABV beer?
Low ABV, like 1-2%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who were we talking to? It might have been the District Brew Yards boys. There's 2 ways to make a non-alcoholic beer. One way is to make it and then take the alcohol out.
Right.
And then another way is to tweak the process so that it doesn't produce alcohol when you ferment out.
Okay.
I'm still unclear on that exactly, but that's my understanding. Okay. I don't know what method they're using. I think they're using the latter where they just tweak it so that it doesn't produce much alcohol.
Sure.
Yeah.
That seems like the more efficient way to
like
do it.
Make it beer and then fucking boil it out.
Undo the beer.
Right.
Unbeer it.
Fucking a glass of unbeer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Go Brewing it's kind of their way of saying just do it. It's a lifestyle brewery. So it's interesting.
And we were talking, the idea of, I'm all for non-alcoholic options and more drink options. I like lots of different drinks and trying them all and seeing what's up. But what are you doing going to brew? Just gotta open
All right,
one
man.
up.
There we
Gotta
go.
do it.
Gotta do it.
When you go to go,
Right.
you're gonna sit there and basically order a fizzy water. How many? You're not at a coffee shop. You're not at a bar. You're just at a place to hang out, I guess. But
Yeah.
you're ordering expensive water at that point.
We kind of talked about it in the pre-show. Like it's like kind of like the soda fountain back in the day, where you're going, to the soda shop and they're making the soda, right? And
Yeah, give me that Green River.
yeah,
and-
and they'll make it right there, right away, sir. And they got the fuzzy bubbles and they're pouring the syrup, and now you got your soda. It's kind of like it's a throwback to kind of that, right? Well, who's
Yeah.
the audience for this? I guess is what our question is.
Yeah, whose audience? How many are you going to sit down and drink? Because you go to a brewery. There's sometimes a means to the end. Like you sort of want the alcohol.
They had some wine there. They
Yeah.
had wine in a can.
Like
So
not that everyone wants to drink to get drunk, but sometimes you just want to drink to lighten the mood or loosen things up or anything like that. And I just wonder. And then you often drink things very faster than you would. You're not going to slam a big thing of Coke, right?
Yeah.
Very fast and be like, give me another one. Give me another one. Most people aren't. Are you doing that with non-alcoholic beer? Like you're treating it like beer and being like, all right, yeah, let's go again. And it's
yeah.
like, okay.
To your point, there's no CBD, head shops, right? There's no shops that just sell CBD, right? Like cannabis shops, but we don't sell cannabis with THC in it. We only sell cannabis with CBD in it, right? We sell the cannabis products that don't get you high.
There's some of those.
There are. Oh well, if that's the case, then yeah, then this totally fits. Then, right? It's kind of the
there's
same
like a
thing.
health benefit to some of those. Like sometimes you're in there for like some creams for your arthritis or your dog needs something.
That's true.
Or,
Yeah, I think this is kind of a place where that kind of promotes gathering and lifestyle, right? Because all right, so I think when I read his bio, and his bio was his dad had alcoholism, right? And then I think his brother had it, and his brother overcame it.
Okay.
And so he's giving me, like, this guy's name was Joe JB, where's his initials. And he gave me a tour of this place, and he says, I ran into a guy today, and this guy was like, hey, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I'm not triggered by drinking these beers, but I can hang out in a community, a room full of people, and be communal, right?
Right.
And then they do live music every night.
Oh, well, that's cool. I think if they're offering the space for music and
Yeah.
making it more of a place to gather, then okay,
Right,
it's
like a
more
good-
like a coffee shop.
It's like a coffee shop that makes non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
And then if you want alcoholic beer, they have friends. They have a sake maker in Michigan, and then they have wine in cans.
And then you could just go over Salamos.
And then Salamo's on the other side of the parking lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so like for example of the lifestyle thing, they had a guy come out and train everyone on how to do the polar plunge stuff, where they got all these bathtubs and they time you for how long you can sit in the cold water.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. I think it's a gathering ground for that kind of stuff, right? People that are just active, and instead of building a yoga studio, right?
So they traded.
He built a brewery.
They traded the alcohol addiction for doing ridiculous things.
Yeah.
Addiction, basically. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I think it was Two Fools. Two Fools didn't disband or anything.
Okay.
They just moved to a bigger space. He said he had a software company, and he sold the software company to Cars.com.
Oh. Yeah.
And this was his passion project. So now he does this full time after selling to Cars.com.
That's cool. I don't know if I can go there. Maybe if I'm at Salamos, like stop in and grab like a mix pack to go or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's from Naperville, and he said I only wanted to do this because I knew there was Salamo on the other side.
Yeah.
He said that's the main reason I wanted to do it, because of this space and because of them.
Maybe if you go to Salamos and you're like, oh shit, I had maybe one too many. I should not be driving yet. And you're like, well, I can't do anything. I'm just going to sit in my car. Oh, I could go over to Go and have something there and just kind of like wait this out a little bit. Maybe that's a good way to think about that.
Time and place, we were talking about the crew that makes their beers at the non-alcoholic beers from Canada. They make them at Great Central.
Big drop.
Big Drop. And, these beers are actually really good. They taste like beer. There's a Mexican hot chocolate stout. There's an IPA, et cetera, et cetera. and they're really good beers with no alcohol. It's kind of bizarre. I'm like, man, this shit tastes like beer. Like, It just tastes like a very good beer. So I think and then there are crews that make non-alcoholic things. I know Brooklyn's one, and I haven't had a ton of them.
There's the Lagunitas like hop water we have.
So there is a movement for non-alcoholic stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, and like I didn't know that there was cannabis shops that just did CBD sales. So and if that's a market, then I could see there being a market for a place like this. For people to gather. Yeah. So.
Okay. I feel like I talked myself into appreciating the idea more than I originally was like. That's cool. I'm glad it exists, but why would I go there? But then I'm like, okay, I could see myself going there
from a distance. Yeah, I mean, but to your point, so I'm there and I have a pint of the IPA, and I'm like, that's cool for the experience. But am I gonna get another part of it? I'm not a non-alcoholic. I'm a regular alcoholic. I'm a regular alcoholic. So give me the wine, and then I'm gonna go to Salamo's.
You could train your underage kids to appreciate beer flavors earlier.
We just found another purpose. There you go. You're either too fucked up and you want to keep drinking, or you're training your kids
too young to drink, and you want to act like you're drinking.
Man.
It's the what's that like in movies where they the kids get drunk off of duels and they're like, oh my god, I'm so wasted. And they're like, you're not drunk. You just need the thing to pretend.
Keep those kids out of there. Go Brewing. I like that there was no kids there. Let's keep that going.
There's no kids?
No. There might have been some outside.
Okay. Funny. Okay. Also in the suburbs, we got a message that I was wondering how art history was like brewing, the amount of beer they brew. Because it's around. Mm-hmm. They're not brewing at all at their current space.
They're not. They're getting some help.
Church Street.
Okay.
A name I forgot about.
Church Street is kind of synonymous with brewing other folks' beer.
Yeah.
Foreign exchange, Church Street.
Which they may not be a thing anymore either.
We had the god Ricky Cervantes on our podcast.
And they've not, according to someone on Twitter, which I'm going to believe, because I saw it on Twitter, they haven't shipped beer since April.
I mean, what's not to believe? It's Twitter.
So,
when Skeleton Key went down, they reached out to their friends at Church Street to help make their beers.
Nice.
So yeah, they've been a partner for other breweries.
Okay, so that's where Art History is brewing a lot of their beers right now until the new space opens next to Penrose, which you said was going to have a different name.
Geneva Lager Works, the sister brewery to Art History. It was on their IG feed. Yeah.
I don't know what that means. You're opening a second lager. What are you selling both here? Opening another IPA?
Yeah, they're taking back their supply chain. They're tired of dealing with who's the guys? Church Street.
Okay.
They just want to own it themselves.
No, but calling it a different name.
The other name thing's an interesting choice, right? Why don't you just call it Art History?
Right.
People
like Art History.
I mean, Geneva Lager Works sounds cool. It
sounds like I don't want to. It sounds like I don't know. I don't want to drink Geneva.
That's funny. I could be wrong here, but it could be a signal for a different set of investors as well.
Oh.
18th Street had the sour note, and I believe the sour note was different investors. It was some of the 18th Street guys, but with some different.
So it's a way to get money.
Yeah.
Because you can't. So, yeah, I'm sure there's some money loopholes. You're right.
It might be something like that. Oh, but okay. I'd like to know more.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else happen in the suburbs?
Man, suburb beer pass in this bitch.
I know. Ooh, shit.
No, man. I'm thinking about going down to Sketch still. No, Scratch.
Scratch, you're running out of time.
I'm running out of time, man. We're on the clock. We got one more weekend, man.
You can't go down there Halloween. You can't go down by the college.
I'm not going down there. If I don't go this weekend, I'm not going.
Okay. So you're not going.
Man, I got a record fair I'm going to in the morning, man.
Okay, so you're not going.
I go look for some records, man.
Okay, so no Scratch.
Fuck. Yeah, sucks.
Is that all? Besides Fobab's coming up.
Fobab's coming up. We talked Go Brewing, Naperville. We talked Wheeling.
County.
We talked Bourbon County. Oh, what are we missing here, man?
That's it. I think. Yeah, on the next episode.
Look at the pictures one more time. Make sure we didn't miss nothing.
We're running down our Oktoberfest. I think we're going to have a guest to help us through all of these and give their opinions on it, without our influence. And we got that episode of Twisted Hippo up. Nick's going to be at Fobab. I'm gonna be missing that.
Brad's leaving us, man, to go fucking tour the world. I'm jealous. He won't trade me. I asked would he trade, and I tour the world, and he go to Fobab, and he told me no.
Yeah. No.
So.
I'll be drinking those Italian wines and the Italian pilsners.
And those super sweet onions that they have on that one. I was watching the Stanley Tucci show.
Okay.
Yeah.
But cool. All right, that's gonna do it for this episode. Nick, where can people find you? Get in touch.
Hey man, I'm on Twitter at Nicosio. Oh, shout out to Rev, man. 10th anniversary of Antihero. So they have an Imperial Antihero in cans and on draft.
Nice. Okay. And I'm B-Rad on Twitter, Chicago Beer Pass, Twitter, Instagram. There's some fun reels up there, live streams, sexy photos, and we'll be back soon. Take care.
Cheers.